Good day, students. Today we are going to tackle about developing each skills in socializing with other people. It helps us to improve our understanding in different cultures, system in our societies, and political situation as well. Our week 5 most essential learning competency is at the end of our topic. You might be able to explain the context, content, processes, and consequences of socialization. Therefore, let us define first what is socialization. When we say socialization, it is the social process through which we develop our personalities and human potential, and we learn about our society and culture. And it is also by which an individual learns how to interact with others and realize who we are or what we become as a member of society. Though we might experience a problem in socializing with other people, and it is a really complex and lifelong process, we need to realize that these are all products of our social experience. And when you say agents of socializations, who are those agents or people helping us develop our social skills? Socialization is really a lifelong process, and it begins in our families. Your mother, your father, grandparents, and also your siblings, whoever you are living with, is pretty much your entire social world when you are very young. And that's really important because your family is the source of what's known as primary socialization, wherein your first experiences with how you write letters, what you are going to say, and how you appreciate things, respect, what you believe, the way you act, and what you are going to do if you are going to experience problem, what might be the solution. And this would be a really big help in case you become an adult already. And as we all know, family is the basic unit of our society. What you become now, even if you are now on a teenage stage, your parents and guardians still have the rights and responsibilities to say if your actions are right or wrong, since they are the first teachers of everything from the small stuff up to the big stuff. The next one is the race socialization, wherein we are interacting with others by means of what we or what our parents taught us on how we behave, how we value things, what is our attitude toward others, dependent on our race. Or it depends on what race do we have. For example, we are a Filipino. And as a Filipino, we learn that family is very important. Even if you are already an adult, you are still with your family. But in American race, we all know that they are very independent. If you reach the age of 18, your parents or guardians have the right to tell you that you need to separate with them or you need to be on your own. You need to look for a part-time job to support your schooling. So that is race socialization. Let's proceed to gender socialization, wherein we will learn psychological and social traits which is connected to our sex. Either you are a male or a female, what are you going to do, if you are a boy or a girl. And it is also starts from the moment that parents decide on a gendered name and when nurses put a pink or a blue hat on the baby. Our parents taught us also during our childhood stage that we need to use this kind of things or this color because we are a girl or a boy. For example, you need to wear pink dresses because you're a girl, or you need to wear blue clothes because you're a boy, or you need to play Barbie dolls, dollhouse because you're a girl, or you need to play cars or trucks because you're a. But as we go along the way we socialize with other people, we realized that colors are not important, or the things or the hobbies, the likes that you want to do, it doesn't matter because what matters is that you are happy with what you are doing. Either it is for a girly thing or a boy thing. Let's proceed to class socialization. What social class you are in? Are you belong to the upper class, the middle class, or the lower class? If you belong to that certain class, you will learn norms, values, traits, and behaviors that you need to develop. And also, this may help explain why more middle and upper class children go to college. Because, as we all know, they can afford to go to college because they have more money than those who belong to the lower class who have less money. That is why our government are continuously giving scholarship programs in college to help the needy ones, especially the lower class students, so that they can also finish their studies. And also, not only can the families afford to send those middle class and upper class students, but these children are really expected to attend because you have more money, your parents can give you what you want, so you need to finish your studies. Now, gender, race, and class socializations are belong to anticipatory socialization, wherein it is the social process where people learn to take on the values and standards of groups that they plan to join. Based on the values, beliefs, and norms that your parents and guardians taught you and how they molded you, and when you are starting to socialize now with the other people, you are realizing that before you are going to join on that certain group, or before you are planning to join that certain group, you need to study first the values and standards of that certain group. If it will help you on a positive way or on a negative way. So that is anticipatory socialization. Small children anticipate becoming adults, for example, and they learn to play the part by watching their parents. Gender socialization teaches boys to be a man and girls to be a woman. But children also learn through secondary socialization. That's the process through which children become socialized outside the home within society at large. This often starts at school. So schools are often kids' first introduction to things like bureaucracy. It is a system of rules. So for example, attend the class at exactly 7:30 a.m. So do not be late. It requires them to be in certain places at certain times or act in ways that may be different from what they learned at home. Not only do schools teach us the 3 R's, wherein we are learning how to read, how to write, and how to solve or read numbers as well. But they come up with that sociologists call a hidden curriculum, wherein it is also an education in norms, values, and beliefs that are passed along through schooling. Our teachers also teach us the values, the norms, and the beliefs. Take for example a competition on a spelling bee. Its main goal is to teach literacy and encourage kids to learn how to spell. But something as seemingly benign as a spelling bee can have many hidden lessons that sticks with kids too. For example, it teaches them that doing better than their peers is very rewarding. And it enforces the idea that the world has winners and losers too. Another hidden curriculum of school in general is to expose kids to a variety of people. When your only socialization is your family, you just get one perspective on race, class, religion, politics, etc. But once you go out into the world, you meet many people from many backgrounds. Teaching you about race and ethnicity, social class, disability, gender and sexuality, and more. School becomes not just a classroom for academic subjects, but also for learning about different kinds of people. And of course, schools are also where kids are exposed to one of the most defining aspects of school-age life, peer groups. Peer groups are social groups whose members have interests, social position, and usually age in common. Let's go to the thought bubble to see just how big that impact can be. In the late 1950s, American sociologist James Coleman began studying teenagers, how they interacted and how their social lives affected their education. He interviewed teens in 11 high schools in the Midwest, asking them questions about what social group they identified with and who else they considered members of their group. Based on these interviews, Coleman identified 4 main social categories. And the names of these categories will probably sound familiar to you. The nerd, jocks, burnout, and leading crowd. And with these social categories came social prescriptions, behaviors that were expected of people in those groups. Coleman found that certain things were important to the members of certain groups, like being a good dancer, or smoking, or having money, or getting good grades. He also tested the students' IQs and assessed their grades. It turned out that who you hung out with affected how well you did in school. In some of the schools, getting good grades was considered an important criterion for the leading group, also known as the popular kids, but in other schools it wasn't. In some of the schools, getting good grades was considered an important criterion for the leading group, also known as the popular kids, but in other schools it wasn't. Students who scored high on IQ tests actually did worse on their exams than similarly smart students at schools where good grades made you popular. Now, Coleman's study might seem like common sense. Of course, you and your friends are gonna be pretty similar. Don't we choose to be friends with people who are like us? Coleman's study showed that we don't just pick peer groups that fit into our existing traits. Instead, peer groups help mold what traits we end up with. Or more precisely, are YouTube videos considered a form of socialization? Short answer, yes. TV and the internet are huge parts of our lives. And how we consume our media is affected by social traits like class, race, and age. A teenager or 20-something in 2017 is much more likely to watch online media like Netflix or YouTube than television. The media we consume also impact us dramatically. The American Academy of Pediatrics, for example, has said that there are connections between excessive television viewing in early childhood and cognitive, language, and social emotional delays. But TV can also influence the attitudes of viewers, especially young ones. For example, studies have found that kids exposed to Sesame Street, if you already know that kind of cartoons, in randomized controlled trial settings, reported more positive attitudes toward people of different races. Most likely a result of the program's wide variety of characters from different racial and ethnic backgrounds. So far, the types of socialization we've talked about have been fairly subtle, but there are also more intense types of socialization. Total institutions are places where people are completely cut off from the outside world and face strict rules for how they must behave. So that is the total institution. First coined by sociologist Irving Goffman, the term total institution refers to places like the military, the prisons, boarding schools, or psychiatric institutions that control all aspects of their residents' lives. How they dress, how they speak, where they eat, where they sleep. And in total institution, residents undergo resocialization, where their environment is carefully controlled to encourage them to develop a new set of norms, values, or beliefs. They do this by basically breaking down your existing identity and then using rewards and punishment to build up a whole new you. Think about every boot camp movie you ever seen. All soldiers are given the same haircut and uniform, expected to reply to questions in the same way, put through the same grueling exercises, and humiliated by the same officer. This process resocialized the soldiers to put extreme value on their identity within the group, making them more willing to value self-sacrifice if their unit is in danger. Now, think back on your own life. Who has been the biggest influence on your socialization? Hard questions to answer, maybe, but definitely worthwhile, and hopefully a little easier now that you've learned how sociologists think about it. We talked about anticipatory socialization from your family, like gender norms that prepare children for entering society. We learned about peer groups through a look at James Coleman's study of teenage social groups. And finally, we talk about total institutions, how they can act as a form of re-socialization. And according to this, the essence of socialization is to make people dependent on social controls, to have them respond predictably to rewards and punishment. So this is the importance of our topic for today, for us to be dependent on social controls. And as you know, when you say social controls, if we know what is right from wrong, we will not do what is wrong. Because we all know that if we do something wrong, there might be a punishment. And if we do something right, there might be a rewards. And as your reflection, according to 1 Corinthians 15 verse 33, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. And also, according to Rizal, he said, or according to his saying, tell me who your friends are, and I will tell you who you are. So let us choose who will be our friends. It might be a good influence for us or a bad influence for us. So it's up to our decision based on what we learned since on our childhood experiences from our primary socialization. So that's it. I hope all of you guys remember our lesson for today, and thank you for listening.